Brussels erupts, tractors roar, farmers draw a line. On the streets of Europe's political capital, anger boiled over. Fires burned, potatoes flew, tear gas hung in the air. Brussels turned into a war zone. On December 18th, as farmers clashed with riot police in a dramatic protest against the European Union's controversial trade deal with South America's Mercosur bloc. At the heart of the storm, a deal that could reshape global trade and upend European farming. Nearly 1,000 tractors thundered into Brussels, horns blaring, engines growling, a show of force meant to shake EU leaders meeting just blocks away. Around 7,000 farmers marched through the city's European quarter, most peacefully at first, but outside the European Parliament, tensions exploded. Bonfires of tires and hay were lit. Protesters hurled potatoes at police. Authorities responded with tear gas and water cannons. Black smoke filled the streets. Windows at the Parliament building were smashed. This wasn't just a protest, it was a warning. The target of their fury is the EU-Mercosur trade pact, a long-negotiated agreement linking the EU with Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay and Paraguay. If signed, it would create the world's largest free trade zone, opening massive new markets for European cars, machinery, wine and spirits. But farmers say there's a hidden cost. They fear Europe will be flooded with cheaper South American imports, beef, sugar, rice, soybeans and honey, produced under looser environmental and labor standards. For farmers already struggling with rising costs, tighter EU regulations and shrinking subsidies, this feels existential.
We are fed up with this European policy that is completely out of touch with reality. We need resources, we need prices, and not decisions that go against all of that. In other words, we are taxed on these fertilizers. We are forced to import inferior agricultural products. We can't take it anymore. France used to be an exporter, a major agricultural exporter. Now we are going to become an importer. That's it. We really feel like French and European agriculture is being destroyed.
Farmers accuse European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen of trying to force the deal through, against farmers' will. The protests have landed at a critical moment. Von der Leyen had planned to fly to Brazil this weekend to sign the agreement. But the political ground beneath her is shifting fast. France and Italy are now demanding a delay, whereas Hungary and Poland oppose the deal outright.
I will tell our farmers who are protesting about the clarity of France's position since the start. On Mercosur, we believe that the terms are not sufficient and that this agreement cannot be signed. We cannot accept sacrificing the coherence of our agriculture, our food, and the food security of our compatriots for agreements that are not yet finalized.
Paris and Rome want stronger safeguards, stricter import controls and tougher standards for Mercosur producers. On the other side stand Germany, Spain and Nordic countries, eager to boost exports as Europe faces fierce competition from China and uncertainty from a tariff-happy White House. Amid the division, EU chief announced that the deal had been postponed until January. However, there were no signs that the deal was being put off the table.
This evening we have achieved a breakthrough to pave the way for a successful completion of the Mercosur agreement in January. We need a few extra weeks to address some issues with member states, and we have reached out to our Mercosur partners and agreed to postpone slightly the signature. This deal is of crucial importance for Europe economically, diplomatically and geopolitically. It opens new trade and economic opportunities for all our member states. And with additional checks and safeguards, we've built in all necessary protections for our farmers and for our consumers. In a year dominated by news of rising tariffs and new trade restrictions, the positive impact of this pact matters not just for our two regions, but for the global economy.
But with several heavyweight countries opposed, critics now have enough clout to block the deal if it goes to a vote. Brazil's President Lula da Silva has lost patience, warning Europe this is a now or never moment. And beyond trade, another fault line is widening. European farmers are furious over plans to overhaul EU farm subsidies, fearing billions in support could be cut, just as competition intensifies. This isn't just about trade, it's about who pays the price of globalization. Urban policymakers versus rural producers, climate rules versus economic survival, free trade versus food security. As tractors roll and tempers flare, Europe faces a stark choice. Push ahead or pause and protect its farmers. One thing is clear. From Brussels to Paris, from fields to factory floors, the fight over Mercosur is far from over.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.